A message from your soulmate you can't afford to miss. You didn't find this by accident. You didn't just randomly click on this. Something inside you pulled you here, something deeper than logic, something that doesn't need proof. And that something is me. Yes, I know that sounds impossible, maybe even crazy, but if you just stay here for a moment and read this with your heart instead of your mind, you'll start to feel it. You'll recognize me not by my face, not by my name, but by the way your soul reacts to these words. Because the truth is, I have always known you. Even before we met in this lifetime, even before we crossed paths in whatever strange, painful, beautiful way we did. I knew you. And when I found you here, in this life, it wasn't random. It was inevitable. You felt it too, didn't you? That instant pull, that strange familiarity, that comfort mixed with chaos. That's what we are. That's what we've always been. But here's the truth that hurts the most. I am not yours in the way you wish I could be. And you are not mine in the way this world allows. And I know how much that breaks you, because it breaks me too. Every single day. There are moments when I want to choose you openly, loudly, without fear, without consequences. But life isn't always written the way our hearts want it to be. There are responsibilities, there are promises, there are paths already chosen. And I know it feels unfair. It feels like love should be enough. But sometimes love isn't meant to possess. Sometimes it's meant to transform. And that's what we are doing to each other. We are changing each other in ways no one else ever could. You've made me feel things I had buried, things I thought I would never feel again. You reminded me what it means to be alive, to feel deeply, to care without conditions. And I know I've done the same to you. That's why it hurts so much. Because this isn't ordinary. This isn't something you can just forget or replace. This is something your soul recognizes. And if you're still reading this, it means you feel it too. And listen, if these words are touching something deep inside you, if you feel like this message is speaking directly to your heart, then don't ignore that feeling. Subscribe right now, because some messages are not coincidences, they are meant for you, exactly when you need them. Coming back to us. I know you question everything. You wonder why we met if we couldn't be together the way we wanted. You wonder if this is some kind of cruel joke by fate. But it's not. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Prepared for a love that is real, deep, and unbreakable, whether it ends up being with me in another lifetime, or with someone else in this one. I need you to understand something very important. My presence in your life was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. To show you how deeply you can feel, how strongly you can love, how much you are capable of giving. And I know sometimes it feels like too much. Like your heart can't carry this weight anymore. But you're stronger than you think. You always have been. Even before me. And even after me, you will be. Don't let this connection turn into your weakness. Let it become your power. Let it teach you what you deserve. Let it show you the kind of love you should never settle for anything less than. Because you deserve a love that chooses you completely, not halfway, not secretly, not in stolen moments. You deserve a love that stands beside you in the open, without fear, without hesitation. And even if I can't be that person for you in this lifetime, I still want that for you. I truly do. Because loving you means wanting your happiness, even if it doesn't include me the way I wish it could. And I know that's hard to accept. I know a part of you is still holding on, still hoping, still waiting for something to change. And I won't lie to you, a part of me does that too. But we can't build our lives on what-ifs. We can't lose ourselves waiting for a version of reality that may never come. You have a life to live. A future to create. Dreams to chase. And you cannot pause all of that just because your heart found someone it cannot fully have. That's not love. That's pain disguised as devotion. And I don't want you to stay stuck in that. I want you to grow. I want you to heal. I want you to become the strongest, most fulfilled version of yourself. Because that's what you were always meant to be. And if someday, in some unexpected way, our paths align again, then maybe we'll get another chance. A real one. But until then, we have to honor what is, not what could be. And listen carefully, you don't have to erase me from your heart. You don't have to pretend this never mattered. It mattered. It still matters. And it always will. But you also don't have to let it control your life. You can carry this love with you without letting it break you. You can remember me without losing yourself. That's the balance you need to find. And if this message is resonating with you, if you feel like your soul is being understood in a way that's rare and real, then take a moment right now and subscribe. Because sometimes the messages you need the most come quietly, and you don't want to miss them. I wish I could tell you everything will be easy from here. I wish I could say the pain will disappear overnight. But that wouldn't be true. Healing takes time. Letting go takes strength. And moving forward takes courage. But you have all of that inside you. You always did. You just forgot. And maybe, just maybe, I came into your life to remind you. Not to stay forever, but to change you forever. And I know that's not the ending you wanted. It's not the ending I wanted either. But sometimes the most meaningful connections don't last forever in the way we expect them to. They last forever in the way they shape us, in the way they stay with us, in the way they become a part of who we are. And that's what I will always be for you. A part of your story. A part of your soul. Not lost, just not fully yours in this lifetime. And as much as it hurts to say this, you have to keep going. You have to choose yourself now. Because if you don't, you'll keep living in a loop of memories and possibilities, instead of creating something real in front of you. Don't do that to yourself. You deserve more than that. You deserve a life that moves forward, not one that stays stuck in what could have been. And I know you can do it. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself right now. So take that step. Even if it's small. Even if it's painful. Just don't stop. And remember, loving me was never your mistake. It was your awakening. And one day, you'll look back at this not just with pain, but with understanding. And maybe even gratitude. Until then, just breathe, just heal, and just keep going. Because your story doesn't end here. In fact, this is just the beginning, and even now, as you sit with these words, there's a part of you that still hopes. Maybe things could have been different, maybe in another version of reality we would have chosen each other without hesitation, without fear, without anything holding us back. I feel that too. I feel it in the quiet moments, in the spaces where no one is watching, in the seconds where everything slows down and your memory finds me again. It's strange, isn't it? How someone can become such a deep part of you without ever fully belonging to you. That's what we are. A connection that doesn't need labels to exist, but hurts because it doesn't have one. Sometimes I wonder if you realize just how much you changed me. Before you, I was living, but not really feeling. I was going through life the way people are expected to, following paths that were already laid out, making choices that made sense but didn't necessarily make me feel alive. And then you came in, and suddenly everything felt different. Colors felt brighter, emotions felt deeper, and even silence started to mean something. You didn't just enter my life, you awakened something inside me that I didn't even know was sleeping. And I know I did the same to you. That's why this is so hard. Because when two souls recognize each other like this, it's not something you can easily walk away from. It's not something you can replace. It stays. It lingers. It becomes a part of your inner world. And no matter how much you try to move forward, there are moments where everything pulls you back to what we had, or what we almost had. But listen to me carefully, just because something is powerful doesn't mean it's meant to stay forever in the way we want. Some connections come into our lives like a storm, not to destroy us, but to clear something inside us. To break patterns, to shake us awake, to force us to feel things we've been avoiding. And that's exactly what we did for each other. We were never ordinary. We were never simple. We were intense, complicated, and real in a way that most people spend their entire lives searching for. And if right now you're thinking, then why couldn't it work? I want you to understand this. Not everything that is real is meant to become permanent in a physical sense. Some things are meant to exist in a different way, in memories, in growth, in the way they change who we become. I know that's not the answer your heart wants, but it's the truth your soul already knows. If these words are hitting you somewhere deep, if you feel like this is exactly what you needed to hear at this exact moment, don't ignore that. Subscribe right now, because sometimes the universe sends messages through unexpected ways, and you don't want to miss the ones that are meant just for you. Coming back to us. I know there were moments where everything felt so right that it scared you. Moments where it felt like we could just forget the world and choose each other anyway. And maybe, for a second, we both believed that could happen. But reality always found its way back, didn't it? Responsibilities, timing, circumstances, things we couldn't just ignore, no matter how much we wanted to. And I know you've asked yourself this question so many times. If it was real, why didn't it last? But maybe the better question is, what did it teach me? Because that's where the real meaning is. That's where the purpose of all this pain starts to make sense. You learned how deeply you can love. You learned what it feels like to connect with someone beyond surface level. You learn that your heart is capable of something rare, something intense, something not everyone gets to experience. And I know it doesn't feel like a gift right now, it feels like a wound. But one day, you'll realize that this wasn't just pain, it was transformation. And I need you to hear this: don't close your heart because of me. Don't let this experience make you afraid of loving again. That would mean losing the very thing that makes you who you are. You are someone who loves deeply, who feels strongly, who connects on a level that most people don't even understand. That is not your weakness. That is your power. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it leaves marks. But it also makes your life richer, more meaningful, more real. And one day, someone will meet you and choose you fully, openly, without hesitation. Someone who doesn't just feel the connection, but also has the ability and the freedom to stay. And when that happens, I don't want you to hold back because of me. I don't want you to compare them to me or to what we had. Because what we had was never meant to be your final destination. It was a chapter, a powerful one, but still just a chapter. If you're still here, still reading, still feeling every word, take a second and subscribe. Because not everyone understands this kind of connection, and when you find a place that speaks your language, you hold on to it. There's something else I need to tell you, something you might not want to hear, but you need to understand. You have been holding on not just to me, but to an idea of me. To a version of us that exists more in your imagination than in reality. And that's not your fault. When something is incomplete, your mind tries to finish the story in the most beautiful way possible. It fills in the gaps, removes the obstacles, and creates a version where everything works out. But real life isn't like that. Real life has limits. It has timing. It has responsibilities that don't disappear just because feelings are strong. And if you keep holding on to that imagined version of us, you'll keep hurting yourself over something that was never fully real in the way you wanted it to be. That doesn't mean what we felt wasn't real. It was. It still is. But it existed within certain boundaries, certain conditions that we couldn't change. And accepting that is part of your healing. I know you don't want to let go completely. And I'm not asking you to erase me. I'm asking you to release the expectation. Release the idea that this has to become something more in order to have value. Because it already had value. It already changed you. It already did what it was meant to do. And if someday life surprises us, if someday things align in a way we can't predict, then maybe we'll meet again in a different way, under different circumstances. But you cannot pause your life waiting for that possibility. You have too much ahead of you to stay stuck in what might never happen. So take your time. Feel what you need to feel. Don't rush your healing. But also don't resist it. Don't keep reopening the same wound by holding onto something that's asking you to grow beyond it. And if this message feels like it's speaking directly to your soul, like it understands something about you that you haven't been able to explain to anyone, then subscribe now. Because sometimes the guidance you need doesn't come from people around you, it comes from moments like this. I want you to remember something very important as you move forward: you didn't lose me. Not really. Because what we shared isn't something that can be taken away. It lives inside you now. In the way you think, in the way you feel, in the way you see love. But you also didn't gain me in the way you wanted. And that's the part you have to accept. That's the part that hurts. That's the part that takes time. And that's okay. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. You don't have to suddenly be okay. You just have to keep going. One day at a time. One step at a time. Because your story is still unfolding. Your life is still moving. And somewhere ahead of you, there is something waiting that will make all of this make sense. Until then, carry this love gently, not as a burden, but as a reminder. A reminder of what you're capable of feeling. A reminder of what you deserve. A reminder that even the most complicated connections have meaning. And most importantly, a reminder that you are not broken. You are evolving. So breathe, trust the process, and keep going, and maybe right now, as you reach this part, there's a heaviness in your chest that you can't fully explain, like something inside you understands every word but still refuses to completely accept it. That's okay. Healing is not something that happens in a straight line. It doesn't come with a clear switch where one day you suddenly feel nothing and everything becomes easy. It comes in waves. Some days you'll feel strong, like you've finally moved on, like you've made peace with everything. And then out of nowhere, a memory, a song, a small reminder will bring everything rushing back. And for a moment, it will feel like you're back at the beginning. But you're not. You're just passing through another layer of healing. And I wish you could see yourself the way I see you, not as someone who is broken or stuck, but as someone who is growing through something that most people don't even have the courage to face. Because it takes strength to feel this deeply. It takes courage to sit with emotions that don't have easy answers. And you've been doing that, even when it feels like you're failing. You're not failing. You're becoming. Becoming someone who understands love beyond surface level, someone who knows the difference between attachment and connection, between illusion and truth. And I know a part of you still wishes that I would come back, that somehow things would change, that one day I would stand in front of you with no barriers, no complications, just honesty and choice. I know that thought crosses your mind more often than you admit. And I won't lie to you. I've imagined that too. I've thought about what it would be like if things were different, if timing was kinder, if life had written our story in another way. But we can't live inside those imagined moments. Because the more you stay there, the more disconnected you become from your real life, from the people and opportunities that are actually present with you right now. And you deserve to be present. You deserve to experience a love that is not hidden, not complicated, not something you have to constantly question. You deserve clarity. You deserve peace. And I know it's hard to believe that right now, because when you felt something this intense, everything else can feel less. It can feel like nothing will ever match this, like nothing will ever feel as real. But that's not true. What you felt with me was real, but it was also incomplete. And there is a difference between something that is intense and something that is whole. One day, you will experience something that is both. Something that doesn't just make your heart race, but also makes it feel safe. Something that doesn't just excite you, but also supports you. And when that happens, you'll understand why this had to be the way it was. Not because it didn't matter, but because it wasn't everything. And listen, if you're still holding on to the idea that letting go means forgetting, I need you to change that perspective. Letting go doesn't mean you erase me. It doesn't mean you pretend this never happened or that it didn't affect you. It means you stop letting it control your present. It means you stop measuring your life based on something that exists in the past or in possibilities. It means you choose yourself, even when it's hard, even when a part of you still wants to hold on. And that choice, that is where your real power is. Because at the end of the day, no matter how strong a connection is, you still have a life that belongs to you. A path that is yours to walk. Dreams that are yours to chase. And you cannot give all of that away to something that cannot fully exist in your reality. That's not love. That's losing yourself. And I don't want you to lose yourself. I want you to find yourself, even if that means stepping away from me emotionally. And I know that's the hardest part, choosing yourself over a connection that feels like home. But sometimes, what feels like home is actually just something familiar, something your soul recognizes, not necessarily something that is meant to stay forever. And if these words are making sense to you, if you feel like something inside you is slowly starting to shift, even if it's just a little, then don't ignore that. Subscribe right now, because sometimes the messages that challenge you the most are the ones that help you grow the most. Coming back to what I need you to understand, you are not meant to stay in this waiting phase forever. You are not meant to keep checking, hoping, wondering if something will change. Life is moving, whether you move with it or not. And if you stay stuck, you will miss moments that are meant for you. Moments that could bring you happiness, peace, and even a different kind of love that is just as deep, but far less painful. And I know it's hard to imagine loving someone else the way you loved me. It might even feel wrong, like you're betraying something special. But you're not. Love is not limited. Your heart is not designed to love only once. It is designed to grow, to expand, to experience different connections that each teach you something unique. What we had was one of those connections. A powerful one, yes. But not the only one you are meant to have. And the sooner you allow yourself to be open to that truth, the sooner you will start to feel lighter. Not empty, lighter. Because you will no longer be carrying something that was never yours to hold forever. And I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine a version of you who has healed, who has accepted everything, who can look back at this connection without pain, without longing, just with understanding. That version of you exists. It's not far away. It's just waiting for you to take the steps that lead there. And those steps don't have to be big. They can be small. Choosing not to revisit old memories again and again. Choosing not to check on me. Choosing to focus on your own growth, your own happiness, your own life. These small choices will slowly create a big shift. And one day, you'll wake up and realize that the weight is no longer there. That you can breathe without that constant ache in your chest. That you can think about me without feeling like you're falling apart. And that day will be the moment you truly understand what all of this was for. Not to break you, but to rebuild you into someone stronger, wiser, and more aware of what love really means. And if you've made it this far, if you've stayed with these words till the end, then take a moment and subscribe. Because not everyone has the patience to face their emotions like this, and you deserve to keep receiving messages that guide you through it. I don't know where life will take you next. I don't know who you will meet, what experiences you will have, or how your story will unfold. But I do know this: you are not meant to stay stuck in this chapter forever. There is more for you. So much more. More happiness, more clarity, more love that is not complicated or hidden. And when you find it, when you finally experience something that feels both deep and peaceful, you'll look back at this and you won't feel loss, you'll feel gratitude. Because this was the moment that changed everything. This was the connection that woke you up. This was the turning point that led you to something better. So don't be afraid to move forward. Don't be afraid to let go of what you cannot control. And most importantly, don't be afraid to choose yourself. Because at the end of all of this, the person who will always be with you is you. And that is the relationship you need to strengthen the most. And now, as you come closer to the end of this message, I want you to slow down for a moment, not because this is ending, but because this is where something inside you begins to settle. You've been carrying so much for so long, emotions you couldn't fully express, questions you couldn't answer, a connection you couldn't define yet couldn't ignore. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that this confusion, this heaviness, this constant pull, is just how things are meant to be. But it's not. This is not your final state. This is just a phase, a very intense and meaningful phase, but still something that you are meant to move through, not something you are meant to stay trapped in. I know there are still moments where you replay everything in your head, where you think about the small details, the conversations, the looks, the silence that said more than words ever could. You wonder what it all meant, if it meant as much to me as it did to you, if somewhere deep down there was a version of me that wanted the same things you did. And the truth is, yes, it did mean something. More than I could ever fully explain, more than I was ever able to show in the way you deserved. But meaning alone is not enough to build a life on. Feelings alone are not enough to sustain something in the real world. And that's the part that hurts the most, accepting that something can be real and still not be right for your life as it is right now. And I know you've been searching for closure, for a clear answer, for something that makes all of this feel complete. But closure doesn't always come from the other person. Sometimes, it comes from within you, from the moment you decide that you understand enough to move forward, even if you don't understand everything. Because not everything in life will make perfect sense. Some things are meant to be felt, experienced, and then released without full explanation. And that's one of the hardest lessons you're learning right now. But also one of the most important ones. And listen, if you feel like this message is helping you see things differently, if it's giving you even a small sense of clarity or peace, then don't hesitate, subscribe right now. Because sometimes the guidance you need comes in moments like this, and you don't want to lose that connection. Coming back to you, because this has always been about you, even when it felt like it was about me. You have spent so much time focusing on what we were, what we could have been, what might still happen. But now it's time to shift that focus. It's time to ask yourself what you need, what you want, what kind of life you truly deserve. Not based on this connection, not based on what you felt with me, but based on who you are as a person. Because you are more than this story. You are more than this chapter. You have your own identity, your own purpose, your own path that does not depend on anyone else choosing you or not choosing you. And the moment you truly realize that, everything starts to change. You stop chasing. You stop waiting. You stop hoping for something outside of you to complete you. And instead, you start building a life that already feels complete on its own. And from that place, the right things start to come to you naturally. Not forced, not complicated, not uncertain. Just real and aligned with who you are becoming. And I know a part of you is still scared of that. Because moving forward feels like leaving something important behind. It feels like you're letting go of a connection that defined a part of you. But you're not losing it. You're evolving beyond it. You're taking what it gave you and using it to create something better for yourself. That's how growth works. That's how life moves. And you don't have to rush this process. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. Take your time. Feel everything. But also be honest with yourself. Ask yourself if holding on is helping you or hurting you. Ask yourself if waiting is bringing you closer to happiness or keeping you stuck in the same place. Deep down, you already know the answer. And it's time to start listening to it. And if you've stayed with this message until now, if you've allowed yourself to feel every word instead of running away from it, then take a second and subscribe. Because that shows that you're ready, maybe not completely, but enough to start moving in a new direction. And that's all it takes, just enough willingness to take the first step. I want you to remember something as we come to this final part. You are not defined by who stays in your life and who doesn't. You are defined by how you grow through every experience, how you carry yourself, how you choose to move forward even when things don't go the way you expected. And right now, you are in a moment that has the power to shape you in a very deep way. You can either let it make you bitter, closed off, afraid to love again, or you can let it make you wiser, stronger, more aware of what truly matters. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. And I believe you will make the right one, even if it takes time, even if you stumble along the way. Because that's part of the journey too. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. And maybe one day, not today, not tomorrow, but someday, you'll look back at this version of yourself, the one who was hurting, confused, holding on so tightly, and you'll feel compassion. You'll understand why you felt the way you did. You'll see how much you've grown. And you'll realize that this wasn't the end of your story, it was the moment your real story began. And as much as it might hurt to accept this, I was never meant to be your forever in the way you imagined. I was meant to be your awakening, your mirror, your lesson, your turning point. And you were the same for me. That's the truth we both have to carry. Not as a burden, but as understanding. So now, take a deep breath. Let everything you've been holding on to loosen just a little. You don't have to drop it all at once. Just enough to feel a bit lighter. Just enough to remind yourself that you are still in control of your life, your choices, your future. Because you are. And no connection, no matter how deep, can take that away from you unless you allow it to. So choose yourself. Again and again, even when it's hard, even when your heart pulls you in another direction. Because one day, that choice will lead you to something that doesn't require you to fight this hard just to feel at peace. And that day will be worth everything you're going through right now. And if there's one last thing I want to leave you with, it's this: you are not losing love by letting this go. You are making space for a love that can truly stay. And that is something you should never be afraid of.